French are waiting inside the Dairy Farmers Stadium in Townsville as they prepare to take on Japan. A healthy crowd there today. And Francois, you think there's some interest in the fact that Frédéric Michelin gets the nod at out half again? Yes,
Eddie O'Sullivan can't decide between O'Gara and Humphreys, but Laporte has decided, I want Michelin to pair up with Galtier. Merceron again is on the sideline, and I thought Nicolas Brusque had a disappointing game. He was the only French back that didn't play well in the opening game, and you got Poitonneau now coming in, and he needs to step up to the plate.
OK then, let's get back to our commentary team and go over to Townsville once more. There it is on the northeastern coast of Australia, up in Queensland, the gateway to the Great Barrier Reef at the Dairy Farmers Stadium. It's David Soul and first Mark Robson.
Yeah, thanks very much indeed, Angus. Welcome indeed to Australia's largest tropical city, as you say, located on the Great Barrier Reef coast. They have over 300 sunny days a year here, and this has been one of them. A humid evening, France hoping to build on their impressive win against Fiji, and Japan hoping to build on their abrasive display against Scotland. There's a good crowd here, and the folk of Townsville, the 150,000 of them, really have taken to the Japanese, who play 3 of their matches here, and you will see plenty of rising sun painted faces in this crowd. And I think it's a super little stadium here. It's one of the old style, a lot of grass banking where the folk can sit with their tinnies and enjoy themselves. But the French, David Soul, who's watched both of these teams in the flesh in action, you fancy France to put up a big score tonight?
Oh, I think so. You have to fancy this French side. It's full of talent, full of good forwards as well.
And they make 6 changes from the side that swept past Fiji. 4 of those in the pack: Milou, Bru, Bruze and Lebeat coming in. In midfield, Damien Try and Tony Marsh start their first international together for the first time in 16 months. And the Japanese side, well, they've made 8 changes from the spirited Scotland defeat. The back row is the same, but there are new halfbacks, including the former Canterbury out half Andy Miller, and a new centre pairing. And the ex-sumo wrestler, as Angus mentioned, Ryo Yamamura, comes in at tight head.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the World Choir will now perform the national anthems of France and Japan.
Ils viennent jusque dans nos bois.
This Japanese side really does have some cut and thrust, especially wide out. Daisuke Ohata and Hirotoki Onozawa, the two wingers, do have exceptional pace. And on the bench, Rafael Ibanez, the former French captain, who has a little bit of a sinus problem, and Yosion scored the 3 tries in the opening game against Fiji. And Matoki on the bench, number 21 for Japan, is Japan's most capped player in history, so there is experience there to be used if necessary. France and Scotland topping this pool with 5 points apiece, picking up the bonus point, of course, for scoring 4 tries or more in their first match. Fiji with 4 points, USA with 1, and Japan down at the bottom with none. The French staying in the same hotel that we are as we look at Tony Marsh, and very relaxed this morning. The players breakfasting and chatting and laughing with the press, and quite a few of the guys were playing volleyball in the hotel pool just to loosen up. Olivier Magne, really world-class player on the flank for France, and the guys in the studio were saying they look like a focused outfit for this World Cup.
Yes, they do. It's always difficult to tell. They're so inconsistent, the French, from time to time, but in their opening match they were utterly convincing, and Michalak, I think he gets his back line moving in the same way that Carlos Spencer does for the All Blacks, and with Tony Marsh in the midfield, they're very, very powerful.
Referee is an Irishman, Alan Lewis. I've never seen an Irishman with such a good suntan. We normally go pink. Former cricket international and a very experienced official, and one of the most popular officials amongst the players. He really does communicate. Evening kick-off here, 7 o'clock in Townsville, but France playing into the sun in the first half. That's the rising sun, of course. Up goes Mayuchi, and he eventually gets down on the ball. That's Takuro Mayuchi, the captain. Andy Miller, the out half, 57 points for his country, 31 years of age, former Canterbury, New Zealand born. And that's another New Zealander in the pack there, number 5, Adam Parker, who'll be a target in the line out. But it's Bru, he finds Manya. Bru drives in hard. Yannick Bru is driven back. Galtier, Michalak. Well, that's high, and that's one for Kurihara to take, and he's taken it very well indeed as Kurihara. Miller bringing Okubo back row forward into play, and Alan Lewis gives the penalty to Japan. And the first injury of the night, and Serge Betson has gone down, but already the Japanese back row heavily involved.
Yes, they were absolutely tenacious against Scotland, and very aggressive in both attack and defence. They didn't make the most of their chances, but they played the more attractive rugby about a week ago, and it really got the crowd at Townsville behind them.
Serge Betson from Biarritz, and his 33rd international. The 29-year-old is the man who was down injured, but it was a fine take at fullback by Kurihara, the man who scored 19 test tries for his country, mostly on the wing, until he was bumped out of that position by the combined skills of Ohata and Onozawa. Do look out for them. These two teams have played just the once in 1973, that's officially. France 30, Japan 18 in Bordeaux. French looking for 7 tries tonight to reach 100 in the Rugby World Cup. A little bit scrappy there. Japan do have quite a bit of height in the line-out. That was always one of their problems in the past, of course, was a lack of size, but they found those inches now, helped by importing a couple of boys from New Zealand.
Well, the lifting laws also help the Japanese.
Yes, they do. Sakata, Masaki Sakata to the line-out. At the front is Shin Hasegawa, and Adam Parker is right at the tail. Parker moves up, and it's Tanuma who gets his hands on the ball. But it's turnover ball for the French. Michalak has Serge Betson alongside him, and a beautiful half break by Michalak, and he finds Betson in support. up to the Japanese halfway line, but diving in the French, and the Japanese get the penalty, and that's your first indication as to where the support lies here in Townsville.
Yes, there were very enthusiastic supporters of the Japanese against the Scots, which I couldn't understand at all. Interestingly, good play by Michalak. He saw his three-quarter line was very flat, and a little gap opened up, and Betson, like every good blindside, on the shoulder of his fly half, driving in, but France diving in, going to deck, conceded this penalty.
Well, France have never lost a pool game in the Rugby World Cup. You wouldn't expect them to lose tonight, as Tori Kurihara prepares to put Japan, hopefully, into the lead for his side. Remember, twice runners-up in the World Cup, Japan, 87 and 99, third in 95, and almost beat South Africa in the semis in Durban that year.
Putting in France.
France, I mean, of course. As Japan take the lead. 3 points to 0, and a fine penalty from Toru Kurihara. The Suntory fullback come winger.
France nil.
Just the sort of start the crowd wanted.
That was Tunama who went up there, but he made the error, which has been capitalised on. And here come France now, bouldering forward as Galtier waits. Try. Gets help from Poitrenaud. Galtier to Michalak, and straight through the middle is Labitte. Looks for support, gets it inside from the prop forward Milou. Now Galtier, they have players over here, France, they must score, and they do. Simple as you like for Michalak. They created a massive overlap. I think there were 5 Frenchmen out to the left, and any one of them could have scored.
It was a brilliant piece of play by Labitte, actually. A little inside pass, he came in on the angle, saw there was no one outside him, and did a little flip pass. We'll see it in the replay.
Eventually. He is the top scorer in the World Cup so far. That takes it to 31 points, 26 he managed against Fiji Michalak.
Here we go, there's the inside pass. Now Labitte on the angle, sees no one outside him. There's the inside pass. Great play by Milou. And then, as you say, Mark, they had so many men outside them. Michalak, little bit of a dummy. Easy score.
Well, there's so many game breakers in this French side. He's just one of them. Try, Marsh, Dominici, Rougerie, Poitrenaud, the whole back line can cut most defences apart. And Michalak adds the extra 2 points, 7 points to 0. He's got the lot. 7 points to 3, I beg your pardon. He's got the lot. And 6 minutes played, and France are on their way.
Well, Scotland scored a very early try against the Japanese a week ago and then struggled. And I think the key to success against some of these minnows is the need to be patient. We saw last night Canada putting up a terrific fight against the All Blacks for 20 minutes, but eventually being overwhelmed.
The Japanese brought their own chef in, Shinta Miyagi from Cairns, who apparently puts together a super rice dish. The ingredients are a secret, but they are not illegally performance enhancing, I'm told, but they need all the help they can get from that now.
Kitchen activity is one of your pet interests, obviously, Mark.
Of course, the Japanese soccer team caused plenty of shocks in the World Cup of 2002. Can they cause one here? It's not looking too good for them at the moment. It's taken by Bruzet, the former Northampton lock, who played in the Heineken Cup final for them. Now, here's Michalak, and again he looks to machete his way through that defence. Galtier, runners all over the place, and one of them is Rougerie, and Rougerie has one man to beat, and Rougerie is through. Superb try from the big right winger from Montferrand. A second try for France in the space of 2 minutes.
Well, the studio were talking about the French side being inconsistent, but this was brilliant. What you didn't see in the replay was the draw outside before Rougerie came up like an express train up the middle, and he's such a strong man, so powerful. People talk about Thao and these sorts of fellas, but this guy is very strong and very pacey as well.
He was exposed a little bit by Rupeni Thao in the Fiji match in defence, but there's no questioning his ability in attack. He really is a steam train. France 14, Japan 3. Michalak has 9 points already.
Japan 3.
Well, good stepping by Rougerie and a lovely dive to finish the try. He's delighted with it.
His father Jacques played for France too, prop and hooker.
Lovely.
So it looks like a long night in Townsville for Japan.
Mark, have you got me? Lovely. Make sure we're behind Japan.
Taken by Bruset. Galtier. Rougerie climbs, but Japan ball it is. Alan Lewis picking out a smattering of French out there. Don't know what his Japanese is like.
France! No. I want them out of this space, please. Space.
Christian Labitte at number 8, his break leading to that first try. In for Harry Nordicki in this game. He's carrying a slight injury.
Away in the tackle, France!
Sonata to Andy Miller. Sonata again. Here's Miller once more. Sonata. Serge Betson with a good tackle. Remember how he played Johnny Wilkinson out of the game in an England-France game a couple of seasons ago. And they've made a break through Andy Miller. And the support from Onizawa. Here's Onizawa with great pace. It's Tony Marsh who gets his hands on him. Tremendous spell of play here from the Japanese. Andy Miller, a matter of 10 metres short. At last they've managed to break this French defence. Support from Mayuchi, the captain. Okada with the drive on. Sonata, Miller. Well, he's well swallowed up there by the French defence, but
Number 9, wait.
it looked as if they were offside.
Number 9.
The referee, Alan Lewis, wants a word, but yes, it was offside. And France looking to double their score now. 2 tries to 0, but Japan probably go for the post, yeah. And they do through Tori Kurihara.
Well, a lovely break by Andrew Miller. He came on against Scotland and looked far more dangerous. There, the little hint of a gap. He's got great acceleration. And then he had good support outside him. But unfortunately, the Japanese didn't quite have the width. If they'd had a little bit more width to the touchline, I think they'd have been in the corner. And good cover there. Tony Marsh it was.
This man once scored 35 points in a game against Korea. They won that one. Kurihara converts. And they deserve that for the game-breaking break by Andy Miller. Very experienced player, the out half. And he may be from New Zealand, but he's fluent in Japanese, so he can obviously communicate with those all around him, which is pretty important from out half. Here's Michalak then with the restart. Gets lots of air on that one. Picked up by Galtier. Rougerie is outside. Rougerie is difficult to bring down. He's very much in the mould of Wendell Sailor in that respect. Japan taking it quickly. And all the French attackers were forward, so that was an intelligent kick as it turned out. That's Magna, Dominici. Quick. But decides on safety first.
Great cover by the open side. Magna, I think this French back row with Harry Nordicki on the bench at the moment, but the French flankers of Magna and Betson, there are a few people who would consider them to be better in world rugby at the moment, I think.
Olivier Magna steals that ball for France. That's Yannick Brou. Galtier, Michelak. Again, he's varying his play very well. Galtier, try. Chipping through for Poitrenaud and Tony Marsh to chase inside the Japanese 22. Yuji Sonoda is waiting. And there's a Frenchman in from the side.
Well, that wasn't very clever play. I think it was Fabien Pelouse or Bruze came in at the side there, trying to drive the Japanese off the ball. No threat really from that position. He'd been far better just letting them win the ball and clear to touch. England will at least get the thrown at the line out.
Who was injured for the first game, now starting. Little interesting variation at the front of the line out. Not forward.
The Japanese always used to be great at improvising at the line outs. That was another one. Now here's this big fella, the sumo wrestler on the tight head for Japan.
Good drive by the French. Here's Miller, takes on Michelak, gobbled up by him and by Dominici, and Galtier picks the ball up and come off a Japanese foot, so that's okay, and play goes on. Dominici at scrum half, Magna to Michelak. Good first up defence by the Japanese. Galtier, and they've got numbers to the right. Olivier Magna very heavily involved in this first 15 minutes of the match. 2 tries the French have scored already. Galtier, Bruze. Yannick Brou makes it available for Fabien Galtier. Now it's Fabien Pelouse, France's most capped forward. Now here's try, and that's a good ball out to Dominici. Ohata with the tackle, but good offload by Dominici. Galtier, the 34-year-old. Poitrenaud, tackled by Hasegawa, the loose head prop. Serge Betson, good hands by Betson and then by Pelouse. And now it's Tony Marsh, deep inside the Japanese 22, should have moved it wide. The Japanese defence in all sorts of trouble here. And giving away the penalty, the man penalised is Hirotoki Onozawa for not rolling away.
Well, again, lovely play by the French, keeping the ball alive in the tackle, actually taking contact but offloading it, getting width on it. And that time Tony Marsh, as he said, he had Rougerie outside him, should have moved it earlier but fancied his own chances against this Japanese defence. And the French far more convincing against quite a well organised Japanese defence. They're very much committed to the tackle, close to the ball. Here's Pelouse, takes out 2 Japanese defenders. Now you can see Rougerie just in the corner of the picture there. He didn't shout, perhaps Tony Marsh didn't know he was there, but he was absolutely clear.
Well, you can see that it would have been a try-scoring pass because Onozawa had come off his wing to cover Tony Marsh, who, as you say, completely free he was there. Marsh, whose twin brother Glenn plays in Japan with Konia, the Japanese centre, and Glenn has sent a message to Konia saying, "Give my brother a big hit from me." We haven't seen it yet. We might see several more points for France, and we do. And Michelak is kicking in sublime fashion.
A lot of
The score France 17.
Concerns about the French ability to convert points and penalties, but Michalak answered all his critics in the opening match, and it seems to be doing exactly the same. And if he continues in this sort of vein, you have to consider that Merceron is hardly likely to get a look in this World Cup.
No, and Merceron, I think, his kicking has been poor in recent games, and he's struggling a little bit with confidence. So Michalak appears to be the man. Former scrum half, of course, so we saw him play many games in the Heineken Cup at scrum half for his club. Here's Christian Labitte. Hit by a big tackle there from Akubo. Michalak. Not such a good kick. It's Maiucci back, the back row forward. Good positioning by Maiucci. Not a great kick though. Gives the French far too much time, and foolishly gives them the ball back. Labitte, good pick up and drive by him, coming in at pace. Good hands. Pelouse. Galtier. It's a good performance by France this so far. That's Damien Traoré. Marsh. Galtier. A little bit confused this time from the French, probably for the first time.
Well, I think the ref did a pretty good job defending that. There he is, Galtier.
Yeah, maybe that's why there was confusion.
You don't want to get sandwiched by a couple of sumo wrestlers, that's for sure.
I always reckoned you should have taken up sumo wrestling when you retired, David. You've got the body for it.
I know.
No, muscular. They're much more muscular these days. They've changed. You're thinking of the old sumo wrestlers. I think you would suit a mawashi. You know what a mawashi is? That's one of those thongs they wear. A tartan mawashi. I can see you now. Taking on the world.
Bring back Nigel Thomas Smith.
Yes, of course, Ryo Yamamura is a former sumo wrestler, just 21 years of age, the tight head prop here, as Tori Kuruhara gets some treatment. Yamamura, do keep an eye on him during the match. Quite a few Super 12 teams, we're told, are watching him. And Mark Bell, the former Wallaby, who's working with the Japanese side, with the forwards, is trying to sort him out with a contract. But of course, he has to play well enough to deserve one. I can't wait to hear him talking to the Japanese front row. I'm really looking forward to it. Labitte picks up and he's driven back. Maiucci's had a good game for Japan so far, really getting stuck in. Now here comes Poitrino, the World Young Player of the Year a couple of seasons back. David Soul was on the judging panel. Picked up by Pelouse. Michalak. Labitte. On his shoulder is Serge Betson, the back row working in tandem well. Pelouse once more. Using Bruzet and Pelouse as big steam hammer runners in the midfield. Now Poitrino, good hands for him. Dominici. 4 Japanese defenders there. They had him swamped. But France are playing good rugby. That's Serge Betson. Their pick up and drive is exemplary. No handling mistakes really to talk about. Here's Michalak into midfield. Damien Traoré feeds the ball on. A knock forward, I think it was, though, from a French hand. And it's taken on by Sakata, who lays the ball well. It's Maiucci, the flanker, who gets it to Miller. And that's not his best kick. He sliced it just a little bit. Might work out okay, but it's the big man, Rougerie, who's underneath it. Tackle comes in from George Conilla. Well, look at that for strength in this French pack. Really crushing that Japanese forward pack out of the way. And they're also going to get the put in here.
Well, I think what's so impressive about this French side is they seem to have so many options and so many alternatives. Michalak is varying his game well, as you say. He's put one chip in, he's moved the ball wide, he's using his big runners, Bruzet and Pelouse. And they just seem to be so confident on the ball.
Rougerie showed great strength there, and of course if you're a forward you want your winger to stay on his feet as long as possible so you can then get in around behind him and build a platform, and that's exactly what happened there. And Mania, well, many times has he been first to help out one of his fellow teammates.
There's been very little said about this French side as being realistic contenders for this World Cup. Everyone's talking about New Zealand and England. think at 14-1 at the start of the tournament, you know, that was far too long odds for France.
And they've had as the boys were saying in the studio, a very quiet build-up, an almost discreet build-up. Not playing that well, but now that they've come here prepared and they've come here firing. Here's Michalak. And once more, Damien Try skipping his way past one defender, getting support from Betson. Again, they're clearing the ball out well, are the French. Michalak brings Poitrenaud in, Dominici. Beautiful step off that left foot, characteristic movement from Dominici. And look at the pack and the backs again in helping and driving forward and putting the Japanese defence under all sorts of pressure.
Well, you're right, it was Poitrenaud and Marsh went in to try and recycle that ball. And if it had been recycled, France had such a huge lineup. Again, one of the things which is so significant about the good sides in this World Cup is they're using the full width of the field. New Zealand did it yesterday, Australia do it, England do it, and France now doing it as well.
And they're also not necessarily committing forwards to those sort of situations. They're relying on the backs to clear the ball out, almost like extra back row members, and the whole pack were away to the right-hand side. Now that's Poitrenaud, Rougerie. Well, he does have his weaknesses, and his hands are a little bit suspect at times, although it wasn't the best pass in the world, to give him some credit.
I think it was well behind them, but that time Poitrenaud creating the extra man. Lovely long pass. This is the pass, not a great one to Rougerie.
No, maybe a bit hard on Rougerie there, but it's almost as if Laporte has coached them that, you know, every player should be able to play in every position. You know, rucking, mauling, you know, whatever is necessary at any particular time. And diving in off the feet. Japan, ironic smile, but it's a penalty to the French. Michalak, I think, is going to go for the 3 points here as we look at the infringement again. And just to remind you, we've got the big one, of course, coming up on ITV1, live from the Subiaco Oval in Perth. Martin Johnson's English Warriors match it with the South African Springboks in a crucial game for both sides. Whichever team wins tonight is likely to be on the opposite side of the draw to the All Blacks come quarter-final time. That's coming up from 12:30 on ITV1 on the website, remember, itv.com/RWC. Michalak, there's a jeer or two which would suggest that he's missed it, because most of the support here is on the side of the men from the rising sun, the land of the rising sun. France 17, Japan 6, but France playing all the rugby and again looking impressive. Not the two toughest opening encounters, let's be fair, Fiji and Japan. The harder battles lie ahead, but they are taking shape, France. The rest of the world should beware. Rougerie. He really has a very strong man, Rougerie. Milou. Taken on by Yannick Brou. Galtier to Michalak. It's Dominici just stepping in off that left wing this time. The slippery Dominici. Galtier, a little dart from the 34-year-old. Tackled by Parker. All blindside at the moment by France. That's Poitrenaud. The French handling has been really quite exemplary in this game so far. Yeah, well, there you go. Keep your mouth shut. Now Japan. Can they create something? They've got numbers here, you know. They've got 4 against 2 if they can spin it wide. And that's a good ball. Onozawa's the man who dropped the ball. And it was a clear overlap for Japan, and really they should have taken advantage of that.
What a shame. They had the whole of this stand on their feet. It was a 4-on-1. Rougerie, the only French defender. An uncharacteristic mistake by Michalak.
Every time the Japanese get the ball in an attacking situation, the entire Japanese population of the press box rise to their feet and start cheering in a rather partial way. Very excitable race. That's the tight head prop, Jean-Baptiste Poux.
Okay, you understand?
France may miss Peter de Villiers in this World Cup, who was injured when he fell off a mountain bike, would you believe, to rule him out of this tournament. Poux and Malou can both play on both sides of the scrummage. And that's solid. Galtier for Rougerie to chase down that blind side. But Japan, well, almost coming away with it. Olivier Magnier, there's no infringement there. Japan in trouble. And they've done pretty well to recover here. But it looks like French turnover ball. Well, there's knock-ons and all sorts of things going on there, but the Japanese have been caught offside.
Desperation, I think, in defence by Japan. It's about the second or third penalty they've conceded in that sort of position. Interesting. Michalak's been going to be given another opportunity. Intelligent kick by Galtier. Usually went up for it, couldn't quite hold it.
There's Magnier through, really as a barnstorming flanker, isn't he? One of the best in the world, would be picked in many people's World 15. Just 21 years of age, Michalak, and what a career he has ahead of him. Hasn't got a bad career behind him either. Has played scrum half and out half for his club and for his country, and he adds another 3 points. France 20, Japan 6.
Well, I think in many respects it's possibly intelligent captaincy by Fabien Galtier to give Michalak the opportunity to practice his goal kicking in what is effectively quite a hostile environment, because there are going to be far more intense matches to come in this World Cup for France, and if he can get the practice and confidence under his belt now, it'll serve him well in future.
Andy Miller to restart for Japan. Was second choice to Andrew Mertens for quite a while at Canterbury. Hard to get into the team when Mertens is in front of you. Galtier, 4 World Cups now for France. First Frenchman to play in that many. Mayucci again seems to enjoy patrolling that far touchline, but he's lost the ball. And here come France through Tony Marsh. Serge Betson. Olivier Magnier in support, but the referee Alan Lewis is going to give the scrummage to Japan for a touch forward from a French hand.
It really has been a very controlled and disciplined performance by the French this evening. They don't appear to be under any pressure whatsoever.
Crushing that Japanese scrummage, but they've done well to cross the gain line off the back through number 8, Takiomi Ito. Sonoda to Miller, keeping it tight. Mayucci. Sonoda to Miller. And again he steps, and again he gets through that French defence, which is worrying for Bernard Laporte. Okadu. He's big and he's strong too. Sonoda, did he knock forward? I think he did. It was Adam Parker rumbling onto the pass from Sonoda, who played as a replacement against the Scots. And again, that was a pity. Just when they looked like they might break through, they're making errors.
Yes, all the hard graft done. Get in behind the first line of French defence. And there's the little knock on. He took his eyes off the ball.
A couple of times now Miller's got half through this French defence, working well around the fringes. And this is Fabien Pelouse. Where did he come from? Pelouse has men outside, but it was a poor pass. Poitrenaud and Dominici were both there. Serge Betson, Dominici at pace. Well, he almost got through there. It was Kurihara with the tackle. Galtier wants quick ball. Now Michalak wants more. That's Pooks. Tony Marsh. Tackle from Sakata, the Japanese hooker. Yannick Brou setting it. Poitrenaud steps over the ball. Galtier. Just outside the French 22. Galtier feeds the ball out to Michalak, and he's got Malou inside. It may have been the wrong option. He should have gone wide, you would think, with the backs lined up, and now they've lost the ball. They've turned it over to Japan, and they've only themselves to blame really on that occasion.
Yes, for once Michalak not taking the right option.
9.
France eventually conceding a penalty by coming in the side of that last ruck.
It's twice needless penalties, okay? That's twice. No need.
Fabien Galtier being spoken to, and there may be a yellow card on its way quite soon. Japan will get the penalty here.
Well, I don't think Olivier Milou was actually expecting that pass of Michalak.
Just over half an hour gone then, and France leading by 20 points to 6. Frédéric Michalak, who won the French Championship in 2001 and the Heineken Cup last season. And was this morning, until Alton flatly overtook him today, the top scorer in the World Cup. Great performance by Australia against Romania. I thought Romania might give the Wallabies a little bit of trouble, having watched Ireland play them down in Gosford, and I fear a little bit for the Irish, having seen what the Wallabies did to them today. But here in Townsville, it's France 20, Japan 6. France, one of the favourites for this 2003 Rugby World Cup. Sakata to Numa at the front of that line out. Sonata to Miller now in midfield, and a great breakthrough by Correa, and Correa for the line. It's a great try for Japan, and you have to say they deserve it. They've looked like breaking the line on 2 or 3 occasions in this game. My goodness, are they celebrating here in Townsville. George Correa, the New Zealand-born centre from Manawatu and Hawke's Bay, the former All Black trialist, gets Japan's first try of the game.
And it was very straightforward. It was just a great angle and a couple of missed tackles. Inside and then outside Poitrenaud. And look at the delight on the face of the adopted Japanese.
Well, he was told to give Tony Marsh a hammering by his twin brother Glenn, and he's given him a hammering in a slightly different way by getting through that midfield defence and scoring under the posts. Kurihara with the conversion. Townsville full of happy folk, and for all of France's fine rugby, there's only 7 points between them.
Well, here we are again. He came onto the ball at terrific pace there, Correa.
And that, as we know in rugby, is one of the keys, is to hit the ball at pace. It was Hideki Namba who gave him the try-scoring pass. The centre pairing working absolutely sensationally in tandem. And it's the sort of rugby you'd expect from the French, maybe not so much the Japanese. And the Japanese played very well in the first half against the Scots, and they're doing it again here. 7 points the margin. It's not that much, is it? And Laporte must be worried a little bit about some lackadaisical defending.
Well, I think that the holes have appeared around the inside backs between Michalak and Damien Try, so that's the area that the Japanese really want to try and attack.
Pulling down
the maul, collapsing the maul. Penalty to France. They have to regroup a little bit here. It all looked very easy for them and comfortable in the first 20 minutes or so. when they scored those 2 tries, and we were thinking maybe it was going to be, a huge score. It still may be a huge score for the French, but Japan have really battled back. They've got a new coach, Shogo Mukai, who's made a difference to the side, and also Mark Ella is working with the back line, and maybe David Soul, it's showing.
Well, they were impressive against the Scots as well. They made a few changes in the midfield, had Ruben Parkinson, who's a very similar player to Kinnear.
And going to ground there was Fabien Toulouse. Galtier, blindside option. This is Milou. Galtier just building the phases. Michalak again, he likes that little chip. Picked up by Ohata, the flying machine. I think Townsville wanted him to run from there, but there wasn't much chance, and that's quite a good kick, I can tell you. He's made 70 metres. Rougery's under pressure. Oh, the Japanese are up like lightning, and now Poitreno's forced into the mistake, and here's Sonata. Tunama outside him. A great spell of rugby for the Cherry Blossoms. Parker drives it on. This is scintillating stuff from them. Sonata gets it out. They want to move it wide here if they can. Here's Cornea. It's Miller. He didn't really look, but there's still a chance. Knock on by Benson, surely. Referee has spotted it. It's advantage to Japan. And it's all the Asians at the moment. Again, trying to build the phases round the fringes. Mayuchi's had a great game, Mayuchi. That was another knock forward by a French hand, and the Les Tricolores looking a little bit concerned.
And the crowd loving it. The volume in this stadium when Japan looked like getting in behind the French and scoring a try. If they had a roof on this stadium, it wouldn't be there.
Really super atmosphere here in this Dairy Farmers Stadium in Townsville. Just above the Tropic of Capricorn. So very high humidity during the day. It's not so bad now, not just too sticky. Michalak.
Well, one of the key things when you play against sides like Japan is to retain your composure, retain the shape of the game. And the French had that for the first 10 minutes of this match, and they just seem to have gone off the boil a little bit and making a few unforced errors in the midfield.
Yeah, they seem to have lost their focus a little bit. France and Japan have certainly discovered theirs, making inroads in the forwards and in the backs. It's Namba, but not releasing. Penalty to France.
I think the other thing that the French need to do is dictate the pace of the game. Again, the first 10 minutes, they were in command, they were dictating the pace, and they did it very effectively against the Fijians as well.
The vice-captain there giving away the penalty. And Michalak pumps the ball downfield. Just a few minutes to go to half-time. France 20, Japan 13. Not what we expected after the sublime beginning by the French, whose handling really was of world class. Yannick Brou to the tail to Magnan. Now Bruzet, Toulouse. They've used him quite a lot in midfield, Toulouse, just as a battering ram. Trying to create a bit of space. Galtier again put under a bit of pressure by the French, or by the Japanese fringe defenders. Bruzet takes the ball on in the maul. Labit also there as a human shield almost. Referee looking for offside, and it's Galtier who goes wide. But look at those Japanese players again in defence, fighting for their nation and turning the ball over, and then thumping it 50 metres, and disconsolate French response. And Japan really on the boil. They've got all the momentum at the moment.
Yes, they have. They've really come onto their game. This was a mistake by Michalak that time. And a wonderful clearance kick by Andrew Miller.
Yannick Brou, Olivier Magna takes. Galtier. It's a poor ball, Damien Try. Man and all. Galtier gets it back to Michalak. He's outside the 22. Cross comes Unazawa. Look at that step, beating Rougerie. And that's what we're saying about Rougerie's defence can be suspect. A little bit heavy-footed at times. And now a chance to spin it wide yet again. And now it's Ohata. It's Ohata, the flying machine for Japan, the top try scorer in Japanese history. Inside the 22 again. Japan having a great finish to this first half, and they get a penalty. And David Soul, you must be hugely impressed with the way Japan have come back.
Well, they've really stuck in, haven't they? And they did that last week against Scotland. They didn't allow Scotland to get into their rhythm, to get the shape of the game. And after a couple of early tries by the French, they seem to have lost their shape as well. I think the half-time is probably going to come at about exactly the right time for the French. It'll give them a break, it'll give them a chance to just rethink their strategy. And they've looked vulnerable in around the inside backs. Michalak and Try. Andrew Miller has found a lot of gaps.
There was Ohata with the chip through, the man who scored 8 tries in one match against Chinese Taipei and was the most valuable player in the 1999 Hong Kong Sevens. This would be a great way to finish the first half for the Japanese. Sort of sneaks up on the ball, doesn't he? And right between those posts again, and it is half-time. And really quite incredible scenes here in Townsville. What will the second half hold? I'll be interested to hear the analysis at half-time from Will Carling and Francois Pinard, and you will hear from them after the break.
They think it's Christmas in Townsville, but then I suppose it never gets cold, so you don't know where Christmas might be. France are just 4 points ahead of Japan at half-time, and Japan have kicked their penalties, which means they are very close indeed. And you look at the charts of where the kicker has kicked from. He's got a perfect record, 4 out of 4.
He's kept them in the game. I mean, he's kicked very, very well. Kept the pressure on the French.
But you, Francois, were saying that the French had made the wrong decision by kicking, and you thought
they had a comfortable lead, and they didn't turn their possession into points. And if Galtier is anything the captain that they want him to be, he should turn this team around in the second half and really score the points where they have the possession.
OK, let's see what happens in the second half. A bit of pressure on Frédéric Michalak, who you just saw there. Anyway, they're preparing for the second half. Good time to hand back to David Soul and Mark Robson.
Thanks, Angus. We've worked out the problem here in this French performance. The mascot cockerel, who you may have seen in the opening game against Fiji, has suffered some sort of feather infection. I think it's called rooster rot. And the rot has certainly set into this French performance in the second part of that first half. And David Soul, they had a couple of knock-ons, and then Andy Miller made a break through it. It was almost as if it gave the Japanese a little bit of belief.
Well, I think it's a combination of perhaps a little bit of complacency by the French and confidence from the Japanese. But you're right, they've found gaps in and around the inside backs, and they're exploiting that to the full. And France have just lost their shape. Where they had options in the first half, they were moving the ball out to one runner and then passing or kicking or doing something there. They've just reverted to type, and they're making unforced errors now. They've got to try and cut those out and really get back on track.
Andy Miller to start the second half. They've played 12 matches in the Rugby World Cup, Japan. This is their 13th, with just the one win, 1991, at the greatest rugby stadium in the world, Ravenhill in Belfast, 52-8 against Zimbabwe, almost 12 years to the day. If they could manage to create a victory here today, well, obviously it would be by some distance the most magnificent in their history. We shall see. Long way to go. You'd expect them possibly to tire in the second half against these fully professional French. Look, Gary Wallace has done a lot of work with them, the Australian, the fitness coordinator. But there is a lot of work for France to do in part 2. Sakata to the line out. Ito's at the tail. He wants the ball. He gets it. But he's put Sonoda under all sorts of
not straight option
pressure there, but it wasn't straight. And no advantage to the French, so they get the scrummage.
And the French scrum has looked very, very solid this evening. I think they've got one of the best tight fives in this competition, to be honest.
Labitte picks up and makes good ground. Labitte makes 8 metres. That's Serge Betson. Again, the back row making the hard yards. Michalak. Galtier. Michalak. Tony Marsh. Tackled by Kanuma. Galtier need more urgency in this second half. Do France, and that's Manya. Well, he didn't knock it forward. It came off his boots as the referee, and that's a good, intelligent, tactical kick, putting the pressure on the French. And they are real party animals here in Townsville, you know, and they are totally getting behind this Japanese side. It was Andy Miller just turning the tourniquet there.
Yes, they've really embraced this World Cup, the people of Townsville. Really enjoying the evening.
Manya. It's Malou doing the heavyweight stuff in there for the French pack. Good maul from them. Galtier just inside the 22 there, but the French, well, thinking about running it, and sliced by Vauclino.
Well, this centre partnership hasn't looked as convincing for France as when Josian was playing
Japan
inside centre. Josian, of course, on the bench,
Japan
so I just wonder whether Bernard Laporte will introduce him a little bit later on in this game.
An injury, so Tunama comes off. Pity that, he had a good first half. Tunama, that's the replacement immediately into the action. Kubo, Miller, and we'll see now he can run a midfield. You've got to get a good ball to them though. Konea looks like the danger man from the evidence of that try in the first half. Drive on by Ito. Referee saying you must allow the player to release the ball, which they did eventually. Miller. Ukuba, big strong man, gets back up on his feet, and he wasn't held, so that's fine. Runners all over the place for Japan. Mayuchi, good player Mayuchi, one of the best players in the first half for Japan, and Miller feeds the ball out. Namba, Tsunada, Okuba.
Hands away, France, France!
Recycling the ball well, Japan. And that was Kurihara charged down, so France get the ball back. Dominici looking for support, gets it from Books. Japan really up for it in this second half, as you'd expect. Dominici running a little bit laterally, and there was crossing as well. So disorganisation in this French side, and well, Dominici getting a little bit of a push in the back. But the composure and the excellence we saw in the first 20 minutes, it has disappeared.
Yes, you bet your bottom dollar they're going to go for the posts here. Dominici, again, tried to do too much on his own. He actually needed to straighten up and feed the ball, whereas in fact he went on a very lateral run there, and that's been a little bit of the French problem in the sort of second quarter.
1 minute.
Kubo It's the player who is injured, who played all 3 matches for Japan in the 1999 Rugby World Cup, and I've been very impressed indeed with him, and also with Mayuchi, the captain, who's been in charge of the side for a long time now.
He's certainly led by example this evening.
Tell them that's going to take place off the field.
Very aggressive on and off the ball.
Well, they've got 2 big guys in the back row. That fellow there, Mayuchi, real heavyweight performers, and are able to punch holes. Of course, in previous years that was a problem for the Japanese, and it gives them another option, another tactic. Now, Kurihara's kicking has been really top class so far. First half, 4 from 4, as you can see. Can't do much better than that. Plays for the Suntory club, who won the Japanese championship this season. I like the way he kicks the ball, this fella. Look at that. Spliced once more. And there's 1 point, yes. If you've just joined us, there's only 1 point between France and Japan. And it looked as if the French were going to sweep the Cherry Blossoms aside with their performance the opening 20 minutes. And what a turnaround we've seen.
And of course, if it stays close, they'll get a bonus point for being within 7 points at the end.
And the French, of course, want to pick up 4 tries to get their own bonus point. They've scored 2 on Ozawa. And really his slight handling error put his defence under pressure. And the result of all that is a penalty. The man penalised is Masaki Sakata, coming straight in off his feet. Teams like France are supposed to dispose of opposition like this easily.
Here we are, boys.
From it.
Space, please. Space.
Yannick Bruzet. Picked up by Toulouse. Now, can Japan disrupt this maul again, which they've done quite successfully outside the first 20 minutes, and that's a good drive by Les Tricolores, and now it's Toulouse for the line, and Toulouse goes over, rumbling through, using his weight, power and strength. Well, there's almost silence in this Dairy Farmers Stadium in Townsville, but that is a relieving score for the Gauls, and 25 points is now their total.
And this came from Gasquet's decision to go for the line-out rather than the 3 points. Good drive by Toulouse. He was in that a couple of times. Just good, solid French driving. Look at Labitte there. Takes out about 3 Japanese defenders. Toulouse finally the man to break the Japanese try line, and that's the Frenchman's 3rd try. So 1 more and they get the bonus point.
Michalak with a conversion which is successful. Yes, Fabien Toulouse in his 82nd appearance for his country, his 7th try. The man who played in the final of 1999, one of 4 survivors from that game in this starting French side. Bruzet came on as a replacement in Cardiff. But can Japan come back again? And yes, Toulouse was calling for attention as he went over the line almost.
Finish.
Not the sort of guy you want to lose. One of the best second row forwards in the world, and certainly one of the most experienced. Only Sella and Blanco have more caps in a French jersey than this guy. So that's Andy Miller. Toulouse.
Okay.
It's a ruck for Gaultier. Michalak. Very quickly indeed there was Hasegawa, the prop forward. Was there a foot in touch there? No. And it's Kurihara who gets the ball to Mayuchi. big game for Japan. Sonada looked like Betson maybe was offside there. Into midfield again. Little chip through for Cornea to chase, but coming out of defence is Clement Poitreau. He's got one man to beat as Poitreau. This is superb stuff from him. A French try beckons. They're 3 metres short, but it's Tony Marsh who knocks the ball forward in contact. But what a superb break by Clement Poitreau, the Blade Runner from fullback.
Well, that's the sort of brilliance that won him the IRB Young Player of the Year a couple of years ago. Great place, turned the defenders inside and then outside. I think he should have gone himself.
Break up. No.
Well, at the end it was a one-on-one.
Mita. Crouch and hold. Okay, my fault. Crouch and hold. Engage.
A lot of disruption now in that Japanese scrummage.
Forward
the French
pressure.
front row really getting the squeeze on. Of course, they've turned it around, so they now get the put in and danger for Japan.
Pressure. I want him to take pressure.
Look at Galtier barking out the orders there. There's no doubt who's in control of this French side at the moment.
Number 3, red. Blood.
Yeah, 21st occasion as captain. There will be a blood injury.
Blood. Yeah, I need a replacement, quick. Yes? I want number 3. No, number 3 must take, he must take legitimate pressure.
So coming on for this scrummage, Jean-Jacques Krinkar from Agen,
I'll watch this side, but
who played in the 2002 French Grand Slam winning side, played all the matches there, so very experienced, and coming on for a pretty important moment for his team.
Crouch and hold, engage.
Good scrummage, Labit, Galtier. Oh, and that worked beautifully. Dominici timing the run superbly well. And the little left winger goes over for the 4th try of the game for France. Scored a couple against Fiji. It's his 15th try in all for his country. And his 5th World Cup try.
And brilliant slick hands. Labit to Galtier, inside, outside. The transfer of the ball, absolutely wonderful there.
By the France, scored by number 11, Christophe Dominici.
Well, that's more like it from France. Actually starting the second half the way they began the first, with 2 quick tries. Will Japan have the stamina to come back a second time? Two more for Michalak.
Well, a margin of 15 points will give the French a degree of comfort. Pre-planned move, Dominici off the left wing. Great handling, soft hands, keeping the ball up.
Number 2 leaves the field on in his place, number 16, Rafael Ibanez.
Rafael Ibanez, the very experienced French hooker, former French captain, is on now for Yannick Brou. Galtier, Aurélien Rougerie.
Stay on your feet.
Frederic Michalak, there he is, now the top scorer in the World Cup, overtaking Elton Flatley. 45 points to his name. I knew he'd do it eventually. Taka. Good response from the French, but Japanese ball. Sonada, Miller, Namba, and here's Onizawa coming in off the left wing. Great tackle by Marsh.
Stay on your feet.
Superb work in the centre by the French defence. Miller, Miyuchi.
It's okay.
Ibanez with the tackle. Sonodo. Miller. There's big French numbers out here. A lot of defenders. Galtier is one of them. Betson joins him. Sonodo. And that's Kurihara, who's played out half for Japan.
And away 17.
As Miller was tied up on the floor. Good clearing out by Japan. Again, like so many of these minnows, they may get beaten heavily, but they're all so well coached these days. Onozawa, a couple of metres from touch, and that will be a line out.
50-50, 50-50. Whose ball? It's a Japan ball, yeah?
Well, we were able to recycle the ball, but it was quite slow ball, and that just allowed the French defence to reorganise, get set, and put in the big tackles. But what a wonderful tackle by Tony Marsh. Gap seemed to open up, but he had the fella covered and put in a brilliant tackle.
Yes, it was Onozawa put the tackle on, and it's a hard man to bring down. Onozawa. His nickname's Rubber Man because he breaks so many tackles. That's Konya, the try score in that first half. Not releasing the ball though this time. Will the French take it quickly? They don't seem too keen to.
Hold on.
Well, I think they're right to take their time. As I said in the first half, they need to dictate the pace of this game, play the game on their terms rather than actually be hurried into making mistakes by the Japanese.
Good touch by Michalak, such a complete footballer. George Kinnear was actually a reserve for the New Zealand side at the 91 and 95 Rugby World Cups, but didn't travel in the end. So it shows you how highly he's rated. It's Palouse. Galtier just creating a little gap for himself. Let him go, says Alan Lewis. Betson. Ibanez on his shoulder. In comes Manya, position of scrum half. Krenka. Galtier. Michalak. It wasn't a great pass from Galtier. And it's going to be a penalty, hands on the floor against Japan.
And the difference there, the French recycling the ball very, very quickly, getting their runners into good positions. Just a little bit untidy. I think the hand probably prevented the Galtier pass to go to Michalak, which would be disappointing because they had a big lineup out wide.
So Michalak's going to go for the 3 points here in Townsville. Pretty famous part of the world, this, you know. They have the Tobruk swimming pool nearby, named after the famous Australian victory in North Africa in 1941, and the training venue of the 1956 and 1960 Australian Olympic swim teams, of which Dawn Fraser was a member. And they're very proud of that here, I can tell you. Laurie Lawrence was the coach. You might remember him too. Actually toured New Zealand with the Wallabies as a rugby player, as well as being a top-class swimming coach too. France leading by 37 points to 19. It's looking much better for them now.
Returning from the rugby for France, number 3, Jean-Baptiste Hugh.
Olivier Malou has gone off now.
Number 1, Olivier Mediu has been replaced.
That's Labitte. That was Damien try. It's the second time he's sliced a clearing kick. That's the second time he's done that.
French gesture.
Sakata Sonoda picked it up beautifully off the ground, but puts Miller under pressure, and it's Onozawa, Rubber Man. That's why they call him that. More like it from him. Sonoda. Japanese players getting tackled off the ball there, but France are going to be allowed to break here through Dominic Try. Damien Try. Galtier. Michalak. They really speared that kick, didn't he, David? That was superbly struck. What a trajectory.
It was a lovely kick because Kurihara was back there, as was Onozawa. So I should say Ohata, and he just drilled it between them. And again, this is what France need to do. They need to play, put pressure on Japan. Very difficult for the Japanese to attack from this sort of area in the field.
The former captain, Sakata, that's well read by Palouse, knowing that Japan are often going to go to the front of that line out. Here's Damien Try. Galtier, Ibanez. Galtier, Serge Betson, oh, it was Bruze. Well, if he could have held on to the ball there and broken through, there would have been just one man to beat, and that would have been the full-back.
And that was the sort of thing that they were doing very effectively in the first half. Betson goes on the outside and then changes the angle of attack to Bruze.
Crouch and hold.
And that's what's so difficult to defend against.
And also you feel the Japanese back row just beginning to tire. They're half a yard slower, and now Olivier Magne, who beats Akubu to the ball. Great play by Magne. Fabien Galtier, numbers out here. It's Michalak. What an intelligent kick by Michalak. Dominici, well, it was unlucky in the end. Well, it would have been intelligent if they'd scored, because there were a couple of Frenchmen there who might have taken the ball to hand.
Well, they were very wide, that was the problem. Dear me.
Crouch and hold. Engage.
Ito. That Japanese scrimmage really is in trouble now. Sonodo. Clement Poitrenaud. And Rougerie outside him. Look at the pace of Poitrenaud and the step. That's brilliant rugby by the fullback. Frenchman not releasing. I think it was Palouse on the deck. Japanese penalty.
Release the tackle player.
And don't forget the huge game coming up on ITV1 live from the Subiaco Oval in Perth. England against the Springboks in a crucial game for both sides. And remember, the winner tonight will avoid New Zealand, no doubt, come quarter-final time. That's coming up from 12:30 on ITV1, the website. It's itv.com/RWC.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official attendance tonight, 21,309.
Just over 20,000 here at the Dairy Farmers Stadium in Townsville.
And it's great to have that sort of number in the stadium of this nature. It creates such a wonderful atmosphere.
Water off. Water off.
Well, Townsville is quite a remote outpost here in northern Queensland. But they've really got into this Rugby World Cup. A lot of face painting going on before the match, and they really are having a festive evening.
Okay.
Well, last week they had pipe bands for the visit of the Scots. This weekend they've had French marching bands. They've had a Japanese band playing outside before the match. It's been great stuff.
At least you can wear a kilt here and not get goose pimples.
Wear a kilt anywhere and not get goose pimples.
But you're hard.
I go to bed with a light out, me.
Down to the 15 of time.
Ito takes it in. Sakata joins to drive. Parker trying to extricate himself to rejoin from the back foot again. And that's good work from the Japanese pack. Here's Miller. And that is Namba. Hideki Namba. Tsunada. Now can they create the extra man here? If they can move it wide, they might just be able to. Onozawa on the end of it. Onozawa does pretty well. But Rougerie and Fabien Galtier were the two defenders. But just for a second, they had an opportunity.
Well, interestingly, Japan taking more opportunity to attack out wide in this second half. And finding some real holes in around Michalak and Try in the first half. Might see Andrew Miller taking the ball up a little bit more.
Michalak. Not a good chip this time from him.
Immediately engulfed, strong Japan.
Well, he was actually held back by one of the Japanese. I don't think that would really have made a great deal of difference, but...
Number 4, France.
Another French replacement waiting to come on.
Wait now.
David Aladou, 34 times cap from Stade Francais. Fabien Toulouse, who injured his thigh when scoring a try for his country, leaves the field. Ito, good run by Ito, has crossed the gain line on several occasions for the Japanese side, but it's going to be a penalty. Hands on the ground again from the French.
Christian Lebit's looking the innocent party there. Great work by the back row. Well, I don't know, was it still a tackle situation there? The referee obviously thought not.
The Japanese have got to be pleased, David, with the way they perform in these 2 matches against Scotland and France. I mean, the 2 tough games to start with, and really they've shown phenomenal skill and commitment, really.
Yes, they have. And I think when you consider that they've made 8 changes from the side that played against Scotland, you know, they're putting up another very creditable performance today. They must see Fiji and USA as real opportunities to mark some victories.
Another great kick by Kurihara, who sneaks up on the ball as if he doesn't want to frighten it.
Bit like Peter Brown, take it by surprise.
He certainly has a unique approach to goal kicking, Tori Kurihara.
Aduza.
Michalak to Ito. Rumbles into Aurélien Rougerie. It's Miller. It was Namba who was the emergency scrum half there. We got a bit of a down buster.
Here's the mark. Five.
There's Mayuchi. What a game he's had in that back row for Japan. Manya. Try. Oh, and Try skips through. Try as support from Pooks. And he's knocked on though. In contact. France have done that really 1 or 2 times too many with the try line back, Nick.
No, it's yours, yeah. They didn't want to scrum.
Yeah, frustration there.
Sorry, what do you want?
Lovely break by Try. Went for the inside pass. Found Pooks, tight head prop. Very unusual for a prop to drop the ball. I don't understand that myself.
Engage.
Sonoda, it's a better scrummage this time, and quite rightly channeling the ball as quickly as they humanly can and just get it out of there. Miller. Poitrenaud could have chucked it to himself, but decided not to. 15 minutes to go. France 37, Japan 22. Japan, who scored a rapier-like try from George Kinnear. His timing of run into the line, the pace at which he hit the line, really was exceptional. Ibanez, his 8th World Cup match.
Went forward off the line out from Japan. Scrum.
Well, I think it'll be interesting to see what Bernard Laporte does for what he may consider to be the big match of this group next Saturday, the one against Scotland in Sydney. As far as his back's concerned, I think they'll bring back Josio, and I think Poitrenaud has done enough to find his way into the starting lineup.
Beat to Galtier, a big hit on Tony Marsh. Good tackle from Namba, but now Dominici. Dominici's got Poitrenaud inside, uses Rougerie. Rougerie is so strong, look at that, he just barreled through that Japanese defence.
Well, he left a wake of Japanese defenders lying on the ground, so strong, so powerful. And perhaps when he scores tries like that, you can forgive him some defensive frailties. Quattrino comes on the inside, and then Rougerie. Watch this, great strength. 1, 2, 3, 4 tackles. He breaks through. Great score.
Well, defenders hanging off him like clegs there. Kurihara couldn't get near him. Well, he could, but he couldn't hold him. Very strong from the waist down is Rougerie, isn't he? Big man, powerful runner. And once he gets ahead of steam up, you can forget about it. Conversion added. Japanese about to make a replacement. Ryota Asano to come on. I think Sébastien Chabal will probably come on too for France. The Bourgoin player. 44-22. Second try of the match, of course, for Aurélien Rougerie, the Montferrand winger.
It's okay, your fault, bad timing.
Magna took the ball under pressure from Ito. Galtier to Michelin. Oh, that's an unfortunate kick from the fullback Kurihara, who's certainly kicked well off the floor tonight.
Yeah, it's wasted possession, really.
Big Adam Parker, number 5, New Zealand born.
Number 6. ID.
Number 6, that's Irish French.
D, s'il vous plaît.
Interesting combination language from Alan Lewis. Merceron is on, Michelin is off. Merceron with his elbow heavily bandaged. Bruzet into the line. Damien Try. Good tackle by the replacement, number 19, Asano, just on the pitch. But the advantage here is going to go Japan's way. Onozawa has real pace, you know. It's Magna marshalling him, but not marshalling him well enough. The tackle from Merceron, the replacement. Rougerie can't gather. Japanese players all over the ball here. What a drive it is. Hasegawa takes it on. 10 metres shorter Japan, and they've got numbers out here if the ball bounces well for them. It's a 3-1, and it's Kurihara. Kurihara gets it wide, and it's a try for Ohata. Daisuke Ohata scores his 41st try for Japan, and Townsville's roof is lifted yet again. Great stuff.
Wonderful play. He did terrifically well to beat Magna then, and then was able to keep the ball in play. Now Rougerie makes a complete mess of that one. And then Japan, they had men out, they used it intelligently, and Ohata finished it off brilliantly.
Well, we did say at the beginning of this game, David Soul, to look out for these two Japanese wingers, Onozawa and Ohata, both world-class runners with ball in hand. "17 points so far for Kurihara, make it 19. What a game he's had too. And Japan can feel a very proud nation tonight with the way they've carried themselves through this game.
Well, they've competed from the opening whistle right to where we are now, with about 9 minutes on the clock remaining. Tenacious in defence, and have found all sorts of gaps in the French defence.
That's Asano.
On his feet, that's okay, it's okay. Stay.
Sonodo. No, the handling error by Miller. He's had a good game.
Stay.
Quattrino. Merceron. Kurihara comes in. Paterno tries to gather. Eventually it does go to Kurihara. Touch forward though.
Knock on, yeah. Scrum for you.
No advantage from Quattrono's knock on.
Wait, no ball, no ball. Engage.
Ito picks up again. A little bit lateral from him, but again they're doing well to get the ball out of that scrummage like an express train. That's Miller off the left foot this time.
Well, I didn't think that was the right option for Andrew Miller. He had 3 or 4 players outside him. Plenty of space. And he hasn't attacked the French defence as much as he did in the first half, certainly in the second half, I don't think.
Ibanez taken by Aradou. Good ball by France. Good ball for Galtier. Puig. Sana was offside there, and now here's Merceron and Tony Marsh bulldozing into midfield. Galtier, Merceron. Not hard to spot with that Tutankhamun-like right elbow, and this is another chance for Japan. As Kurihara, the very impressive Kurihara, harried and chased and kept the pressure on that French defence. And they've taken advantage of the French mistakes very well in this game with Japan.
They have. That time it was a little chip ahead. A fly hack on. I guess he would have wished it would stay in play, actually, but maybe possibly on his own.
Free.
Manya going to get a free kick for that.
Out here. Okay.
Which Manya takes. Labitte almost got a boot in the face. Here's Rafael Ibanez, 27 times the French captain. Galtier, the current skipper. Labitte, Merceron, and Donizawa pushed well up.
No advantage.
But no advantage. French getting the penalty.
Well, you look at some of these French players and you just think they're going to be very happy when the final whistle goes. They've got the bonus point. They've got about 5.5 minutes left to play.
No, it's 6 there. 6 nearly.
Barring something quite extraordinary, they've got the win in the bag.
Well, they've taken a bit of a battering out there. Defensively, they've been exposed by one of the minnows in the tournament. So there will be deep concern in the tactical grey matter of Bernard Laporte. Manya takes. Try. Damien Try, who's made more of an impact in this second half. Galtier. Must be a chance here for France, surely, and it's Marsh who gets it to Galtier. That's Puig, 5 metres short. Labitte now. Galtier, Merceron. Well, they do have numbers. Merceron goes inside to Dominici, who's 2 metres short now. Not running away, the Japanese defenders, who are in all sorts of trouble there. The French get the penalty, not surprisingly.
Well, they've done this 2 or 3 times, and I just wonder whether Alan Lewis is going to reach for the yellow card. It would be a shame, but it's persistent infringement by the Japanese.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's this French wedge that we saw against
Captain.
Fiji.
No wedge. Must
Alan
be
Lewis
tackleable.
says
Must be
no
tackleable.
wedge. So here's
Yeah,
Puig.
that's okay.
Paterno's at the back of that. There's the ball. Galtier can get it. Yes, he can. Here's Merceron and Chabal. Chabal looking for support from Aradou. Damien Try, close to the try line. France looking to finish with a flourish here. Galtier gets it out to Dominici. That's a metre short. And over the line for the try goes the replacement prop forward, Jean-Jacques Krenka. His 3rd try for France.
Well, pretty straightforward in the end. not a great pass to Dominici from Galtier there. Services haven't been that special this evening, but good strength by Grenka. Takes out two Japanese defenders and just barges over. Again, most props tries tend to have a couple of side steps in, but this time he takes the direct route.
There's been plenty of action in this match. So much to enjoy for this big crowd, almost a capacity crowd at the Dairy Farmers Stadium. As Gerard Mercernon adds the conversion. And that takes France past 50 points. 51 points to 29. Which gives you an indication of the sort of enjoyment level of this match tonight. 80 points in total.
Well, in the end, it's been a convincing victory for the French, but they struggled at times, and I think Ian McGeechan and company will have pinpointed one or two areas that they'll look to probe next Saturday in Sydney.
Yes, France will really have to tighten up their defence if they're going to compete seriously for this World Cup. Rougerie, Rougerie is so strong. Rougerie with Ibanez. That ball goes forward. Mistake by Aradou. Sonata to Miller, and coming into the line, Kurihara. Sonado. Miller. Good step by Miller. He's a good footballer. Onozawa. This time he cannot get outside Rougerie. Now it's the prop forward Yamamura, the former sumo wrestler. Here's Miller into midfield. Sano clears it out for Sonata. Miller.
In the feet.
Yamamura. Sonata looking to do something kinky on this far side with Namba, which didn't quite work, but I think he was offside anyway, and Alan Lewis agrees. Penalty to France.
Well, a pretty comprehensive victory, but definitely not a flawless performance by France. They've really struggled. And you have to give an awful lot of credit to Japan this evening. They've played brilliantly well, never said die, and scored two tries, two great tries, and thoroughly deserved their 29 points.
Yes, the second Japanese try, one of the best of the tournament so far. Setting off from very deep and moving from wing to wing, right across the pitch. Ohata in the corner. And I did love Konea's try in the first half too. A really belligerent run into midfield from him, smashing through the French defence. This dodgy French defence. Aradou, Franca in support. Galtier, little dart from the 34-year-old, this little general, Petit General for France. And are they going to bulldoze the Japanese over the line here? Chabal.
See advantage.
And the ball squirting away as he tried to ground it. But there goes the final whistle from Alan Lewis, and it's been a very good performance from the Japanese. They do deserve a huge amount of credit, but the French in the end have run out winners here by 51 points to 29. Plenty to talk about in the studio, and also preview of South Africa versus England. France 51, Japan 29. We'll be back.